Hello everyone, I'm Emmengard and today I'm finishing up the Clue Mansion that looks like this from the outside. And it's based on this film from 1985 with this bunch of weirdos. That's Tim Curry in the front. The whole film is based off of the board game and has amazing lines like this. I hated her so much. Flames on the side of my face. And that actress is Madeline Curry, and she is a comedic genius, and it is the only improvised line from the entire film. It was a very regimented, and the script was stuck to very diligently. I don't know, they stuck to the script very closely. And so that was the only line of improv that was allowed to be kept in. But I do believe that the crew was quite they were all comedians and they were quite prone to improving, especially Madeline Kahn. So the director, I think it was Jonathan Landis, ended up directing it, had his hands quite full with that bunch of characters. So I think they had a really good time. Apparently they all hung out in the billiards room because the set was it was like a really nicely built up set, kind of traditional Hollywood style, and they had an actual billiards table in the billiards room, and so they would just, if they had a 5-minute break or anything, they would all just hang out there together. So they had just really good chemistry with each other on set, and you can see it in the movie. It's just, they're hilarious, and the way they react to each other and play off of each other is just, it's just gold. I feel like that's what carries the whole movie, is just the actors that are in it and then the way that they play off of each other. They're just so good at what they do. The plot of the movie, well, the writing is also pretty good. The actual, like, the back and forth lines of the film are pretty good. But the plot makes like almost no sense at all, but like it's so much fun and it just sort of carries you along that you don't even notice how weird and nonsensical the plot is, and like by the end of it you just almost don't even care. So it's just the weirdest movie experience. But yeah, it's great, and if you haven't seen the 1985 movie, you should probably check it out. Anyway, moving on to the study, this is where they spend the majority of their time. And if I had had a copy of the movie, I forgot to ask the best friend if I could borrow it, because like normally when I do builds like this, I like to have the movie playing and then I just pause it and add in detail as I go. But I forgot to ask her, so I was kind of just going off of memory and then like the few images I could find on Google images from the Clue movie, which didn't have like that many shots of the interior. So mostly it's like funny memes of like different actors saying ridiculous lines. So nobody is really that concerned about like showing the set off. I wonder why. But that's the desk there that Miss Scarlet sits on. I found it very confusing that like they called her Miss Scarlet because she's in a green dress the whole time. But the best friend pointed out that actually their names are randomly picked based off of the colors of their cars, not off of the clothing that they're wearing or anything like that. So like Miss Peacock has a blue car, sort of a peacock color, and Miss White has obviously a white car. So, which makes sense because Miss White is like in all black. But yeah, so it makes sense that it's based off of their cars and not their clothing. But still, it was like she's in a obviously green dress and yet we're calling her Miss Scarlet. It makes no sense. But yes, it's all based on their cars. So yeah, I mostly ended up going with reds and greens and a little bit of golds for the color palette pretty much throughout the whole build. Mostly because those are very like rich colors. The only other like really rich color that I like is purple, but I don't like most of the options for purple in this game, so I don't usually go with purple. And this part I really like. This is me cluttering up the conservatory and putting in a little area for painting. I wanted each of the rooms to actually kind of have a purpose, so you could do gardening in here and painting. And I really like cluttering up greenhouses. It's really fun. And with those windows that bump out, the trick that I use for them, because items don't actually sit in those windows, like it looks like they should because there's like a shelf there. You can click and drag things from a shelf onto just nothing basically. But if they're sitting on nothing, when you put the walls down, they'll just be floating. And I don't like that. So I will just take a shelf, clutter it up with the stuff that I want on it, and then I'll flip it around to the outside and hide it inside the window. And that way, when you put the walls down, it'll operate normally like anything else on the wall, like a painting or a shelf or whatever. So yeah, I don't usually like to have things floating on nothing, because then when you put the walls down, they're still there, and that bugs me. So then I moved on to the lounge, and because the upstairs is completely furnished for like, I mean, it could be for like a fairly large family. There's enough for like 2 kids or teenagers, a couple of toddlers, a baby. There's also a guest room for maybe a grandmother. So I wanted the lounge to kind of be functional, and I thought, no, the lounge would be like the living room, more fun, can do family games in there, have the TV and like an Xbox. So that was my thinking with that. And I really like using that gaming table with the green top because it reminds me of a mahjong table, which reminds me of my Chinese family. My Chinese grandma, she used to have a mahjong table just like that. So I actually use that particular gaming table quite a lot in builds just because it feels really nostalgic. And I like it when the Sims sit around and play cards. It's just, yeah, the Chinese family plays cards all of the time. Well, actually, they don't play cards. They play mahjong all the time, but you cannot play mahjong on that table. The closest is maybe the Topply Llama game, the Llama Tower game. I don't know what it's called. But, I mean, that really reminds me more of Jenga than mahjong, but it's fine. Close enough. The table looks cute, and I like seeing the little Sims and their families playing games together. It's cute. And I ended up going with green in this room just because that's like, when in doubt, go with green. I like green. Green's a good color. Also because of the green on the table and then the green with the vase. I was just, yeah, green and cream for this room. Seemed like a good choice. And I didn't know if that would fit there, so I decided to actually move things around between the study and the lounge and have the chess table in the study instead. Just because I wasn't 100% sure that they'd be able to access that chess table. So that was my reasoning on that. And then because the couch is not in that bay window, I could just put other clutter behind the couch, like a bunch of different plants. So yeah. And here I'm just, because I set it to be in a different room, just playing around with the color to make it match the study a bit better. But I don't like the swatches that original chess table, or the original couple chess tables I picked, came in. It's really annoying trying to find the correct wood swatch. So, and then just, yeah, adding in some plants. You would really need a butler just to water all your plants in real life. And this is what it looks like at the very end from the outside. I ended up adding a cemetery as well. If you're going to play it as a dynasty challenge, I thought that would be fun to have a cemetery. And there is also a small garden plot off of the kitchen for like vegetables and herbs and whatever. And you can see the observatory a little bit in the back. And it looks like that at night, which I think is pretty close to the mansion we were going for. Yeah, pretty happy with this one. It turned out pretty cute, and I hope you like it and have fun playing with it. Have a good day.